Okay, hi again. This is Alex Eaton, registered nurse. I'm doing this neuro video for my class at Southeast, and today it's going to be me working with my mother-in-law, Carol Murphy. She'd be really generous to give me her time and to let me do these neuro assessments on her. So without any further ado, first we're going to do the cranial nerve 5, which is facial sensation. And what I'm going to have Carol do is I'm going to have you clench your teeth with your lips closed. Clench your teeth. Now I'm going to palpate both sides of her face. Clench your teeth. Okay, I'm testing that cranial nerve 5 for facial movement, and I can feel her jaw and her teeth clenched by palpating on both sides. Okay. Next is going to be, we're going to do cranial nerve 7 on the list. I'm going to have you smile. Smile with your teeth. Okay. Smile with your teeth. Okay. And then I'm going to have you frown. Frown. Frowny face. Right. Now I'm going to have you wrinkle your forehead. Okay, see how that's symmetric on both sides, on bilateral. You can see it elicited the wrinkle on her forehead, which is indicative of normal function. We're going to have you puff out your cheeks. Good. We're going to have you purse your lips, purse lips. See how it's symmetrical on both sides? That's indicative of normal function. We're going to have you raise your eyebrows as high as you can. See how both of these eyebrows are raising? Good. And then we're going to have you close your eyes tightly. See how it's bilateral on both sides? The function, the cranial nerve is operating correctly. And another one I like to do is keep your eyes closed. You don't have to scrunch, but go ahead and just raise your arms up, out to your side. And then raise them up high. See how that's symmetrical bilateral? That's a really good indication of function in that cranial nerve 7. You can put your arms down. Okay. Next we're going to test on cranial nerve 11. And then I'm going to have, what I'm going to do is I'm going to elicit pressure bilaterally on both sides for her shoulder, and then I'm going to have her press up against it. And if she can press up against resistance, it's normal function in that nerve. Press up. Do you see that shrug? She was able to shrug my hands up 4 inches on both sides, so we know that that nerve is working correctly. And then, I'm not going to hurt you. I'm going to hold your head now. We're going to test that same nerve. I want you to turn your head first to the left. See how she's able to turn it against resistance? And then I want you to go ahead and turn it to the right, just like you did. She's able to move my hands. So I know that cranial nerve meets the test. Okay, next. I'm going to have you stand up. And now I'm going to do a head-to-toe assessment for symmetry. I'm looking at her head, her ears, cheeks, shoulders, up and down. Both of her arms are the same length. She has the same muscle tone. You notice that there's no atrophy in either arm. Her muscle size and symmetry is identical bilaterally. Her thighs, knees, ankles, feet. You don't notice any edema or swelling in her feet. And she's symmetric. Could you turn around? See, I'm sorry, could you face there? She's symmetrical bilaterally. So that tells me that she hasn't had any incidents where she's had weakness on one side or had any incidents, any traumatic brain injuries where there's been any problems with her muscle symmetry. So we know she's symmetrical bilaterally. Okay, I'm going to have, now next we're going to do, you can back up a little bit, Terry. Thank you. And I'm going to have you walk towards the camera, just take a few steps, and I'm going to assess you from behind. Just walk normal. Okay, I'm assessing her gait. Her hand swing, you can stop. Her hand swing normally to the side. She didn't have any problem walking. Go ahead and turn around and walk back towards me. Her gait is steady and strong. She doesn't have any problems at all with her gait. You can just remain standing for a moment. Okay, what I'm going to have you do now, we call this the tandem walk. Heel to toe. I want you to start with your right foot, put it out about a foot. There you go. Now put your other foot to the heel. Okay. Now from here on to about here, walk heel to toe. She was able to walk heel to toe without any incidences of falling. Her head didn't deviate from the midline more than just a few inches. Okay, so her heel to toe is just fine. So that's an assessment of the tandem walk. And then next, we're going to do the Romberg test. I'm going to have you come a little bit towards me. I'll have you turn around towards the camera. And I'm going to have you stand erect. Keep your eyes open. Put your arms out to the side. Palms up, palms down. Stay for a minute. Her Romberg test for eyes open is perfectly fine. She's not having any problems. She's not swaying from side to side or oscillating or moving. Now the next test is, the only thing I need you to do next is close your eyes and stay that way for about 10 seconds. Her Romberg test with her eyes closed, you don't see her or one of her arms dropping. You don't see her moving at all. There's no shimmy shake. She has good function and balance. Okay, you can put your arms down and open your eyes. And then our next test will be finger to nose. You've probably done this one at some time. We're going to go ahead and stick both your arms out with your eyes open. Like this, arms out. And then what I want you to do is from one right after the other, the index finger of each hand pointed out. And then I just want you to slowly go like this, like this, and go. That's 1, and 1, and 2, and 2, and 3, and 3, and stop. Okay, she was able to do that without any issues. She was able to find the tip of her nose at every time, which lets us know that she's able to find an object in space with her nose. Her brain can function and bring it back to space. Now I want you to close your eyes and do the same thing 3 times. And 3, and 3. And she was able to do that with her eyes closed as well, so that you could put your arms down. She was able to do that with her eyes closed as well, so there's no concern that she can't find the midline of her body in space with the most distal part of her body. Okay, next would be rapid alternating movements. This is a fun one. What you do is just kind of shake your hands like this, and now I want you to take your thumb, and I want you to touch your fingers. Go back and forth with both hands. See how she's able to alternate? That's fine. She's able to touch all of her thumb is the touch point. She's able to touch all of her fingers fairly rapidly, which is indicative of good motor function. Okay, so this one I'll have you sit. This is pretty simple. And I'm only going to have you do this once for each leg. Put your right leg up on there. Does that hurt at all?
No.
Okay. Maybe we'll move it out a little more. And what I want you to do is I want you to put your right heel as far as you can up on here if it doesn't hurt. And I want you to rake it down your shin.
You mean this heel?
Yep. Do it 3 times. 2. See how she was able to do that without drifting off to either side? Now I want you to alternate. Go ahead and put this heel up there and rake it down your shin. 1, 2, and 3. And any of these times, her heel didn't slip off the midline at all, so we know that she's good on this test. Okay. Now we're going to move on to sensory. I would like you to put your feet down. This won't hurt, I promise. Nothing bad's going to happen to you. I want you to close your eyes. We're going to do a sensory test. It won't hurt. I'm not going to scare you. It's going to be nothing cold or frightening. Just when you feel something sharp or dull, you just say the word. Or no, hold on, not sharp or dull. Light or pain. Like if it's a light touch, say light. If it's hard or painful, say pain.
Light. 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 Pain. 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 Light. Light. Pain. Pain. Light. Light. Pain.
Okay, you can open your eyes now. She didn't make a single mistake distinguishing between pain and a light, soft touch. Okay, this is the one in the assessments that you asked me to describe if you don't own one. I don't own a tuning fork, so if I were to assess vibration, I would strike the tuning fork on my thigh, and then I would have her eyes closed, and then I would put that vibration to see if she can sense vibrations. But since I don't have a tuning fork, you just asked me to describe it. Okay. Sense of position. Would you mind sticking your right foot up on here? Now I'd like you to close your eyes. Nothing's going to happen. I'm not going to scare you or startle you. Now I want you to hold your foot still. Now we're going to do a test for sense of position. This is to help if someone has neuropathies in their legs or if they have diminished nerve function. This would elicit that. I'm going to ask you a question in a moment. Which way is your toe pointed?
Down.
Which way is your toe pointed now?
To the side.
Which side?
Left.
All right.
To the right side.
And where is it pointed now?
Forward.
Towards who?
To myself.
Okay. So it's easy, and let's do it with your other leg. It's pretty easy to see that she doesn't have, there's no peripheral, she does not is suffering any peripheral neuropathy.
Down. Forward towards me. To the right.
Okay, so you can open up your eyes now. So we know that she's able to sense the position of her most distal parts of her body. Okay. Now, close your eyes, Carol. Hold out any hand, whichever hand you want, palm up. Do not open your eyes. What is this? What does it feel like? Don't.
I can't.
Try your other hand.
A penny? Key.
It's a key.
Oh.
Very good. She was able, after a few seconds of pause, to be able to determine more near towards the end of her fingers that she could probably feel the ridges from the key. So she was able to determine it after some time. I wouldn't call it a quick reflex, but we call that the stereognosis determination. Okay, next we're going to test one that I wasn't really familiar with. It's really interesting learning about. It's called graphesthesia. Okay, Carol, could you hold out your right hand and close your eyes? Palm up. Now I'm going to draw something on your hand, and I need you to try to tell me what it is.
Triangle?
That was a triangle. That was correct. I'm going to do one more. I'm going to draw something else.
Heart.
That was pretty close, but let's do it again.
Three.
That's right. I did a triangle and I did a 3. So she was able to determine with her eyes closed, with her hand out, me drawing something just with my finger. In other parts of the test, you could draw it with a marker or something else, but she was able to do it by touch, which tells me that she's not having any problems determining that. Okay, biceps reflex. Would you hold out your right arm, your right hand? Okay. I'm going to see what type of reflex I can get. This is a wooden hammer. It's not going to hurt. I promise I'm not going to hurt you. I was able to get a positive sign twice for a biceps reflex. Okay, and now we're going to elicit the brachioradialis reflex. Hold that still. Excuse me. Okay, I was able to get a positive brachioradialis reflex there. Okay, we're going to do the triceps reflex next. Okay, this won't hurt, I promise. After 4 times, I wasn't able to get a reflex there. And now we're going to do patellar. This is the most common one you see in most of your, you go to the clinic or whatever. This is done quite often. Okay. Positive patellar reflex twice. And that's testing. Oh, and then her Achilles. I'm going to sit down for this one. When you're a newborn, when you're a child, there's a reflex called Babinski, where your toes will fan out to stimulation in the bottom of your foot. When you're older, such as we are, that shouldn't happen. This is commonly used in the ICU. Okay. So we're not looking for her toes to fan out at all, because I don't want to see that Babinski reflex at all. And we didn't get any fanning out of the toes. So we know that chances are really, really good she doesn't have a lesion. Yeah, we didn't get that at all. That was the plantar reflex. Now we're going to do the Achilles. You're going to have you stick your foot down. See? That was a positive plantar reflex. Or the Achilles, sorry. So the first time we did see, when we had her dorsiflex her foot, we did see it go. When I got a good hit on the Achilles, it went up. So we know that she's got a good Achilles reflex. Oh, okay. And if you could stand up, we got the last test. Okay, now I'm just going to explain this one because obviously I'm not going to have my mother-in-law disrobe. We're not going to have her put a hospital gown on. But what we're looking for in this particular is abdominal reflexes, and specifically from the umbilicus here. Okay, so if I were doing this with a patient who I don't know in a hospital setting, what I would do is I would be looking at the deviation of the umbilicus to stimulation from my hand on both sides. Like I could take my fingers and move the patient's arm, rub up this way, and that will stimulate that muscle to contract, and the umbilicus will move slightly towards the area of the stimulation. But we don't really need to have my mother-in-law unrobe for that. It's a pretty simple, and then if I wanted to elicit it on this side, I could do this, I could do this. And when the abdominal muscles contract, you'll see the umbilicus slightly move to that side because only one group is supposed to move at a time. So that's where we are on the abdominal reflexes, and if I'm not mistaken, that's the end. So this is Alex signing off. Thank you, and thank you to my mother-in-law, and thank you to my cameraman.